Stop whatever you are doing. In the next 4 minutes, I am going to show you something that will change how you spend the next 72 hours. 3 weather systems are colliding right now in a pattern that NASA satellites have only recorded twice in 50 years. And what is about to happen in the next 3 days will affect 120 million Americans. But here is what is terrifying. Every major weather model got this wrong until 6 hours ago. They all missed it. And if you do not know what I'm about to tell you, you could be making a decision today that puts you in serious danger tomorrow. 3 major weather systems are colliding in a way that happens once every 50 years. The jet stream has buckled into a pattern so extreme that computer models initially rejected the data as impossible. But it is happening. And by this time tomorrow, over 120 million Americans will be directly impacted. Now, before we go any further, I need you to do something important. Drop a comment right now with your city and state. Why? Because in the next few minutes, I am going to break down exactly when this storm reaches your area, what to expect hour by hour, and the 3 critical things you need to do today. Not tomorrow, today. So comment your location and let us get you prepared with precise information for where you live. Here is the first number that will grab your attention. In the last 6 hours alone, the atmospheric pressure at the center of this system has dropped 18 millibars. To put that in perspective, when pressure drops that fast, you are looking at a storm that is intensifying at the same rate as a Category 3 hurricane. Except this is not happening over warm ocean water. This is happening over land, and it is carrying moisture levels that are absolutely unprecedented for January. The National Weather Service just issued winter storm warnings covering 22 states simultaneously. That has never happened before in modern forecasting history. Never. We are talking about an area larger than the entire European Union under a single storm system alert. But here is where it gets really interesting, and this is your 30-second reward I promised. Stick with me for just 2 more minutes, and I will show you the exact smartphone app setting that will give you hyper-local alerts for your specific neighborhood, not just your county. This one tip alone could save you hours of unnecessary worry or help you avoid a dangerous situation. It is coming up at the 3-minute 20-second mark, so stay tuned. Let me paint you the picture of what is actually happening in the atmosphere right now. You have got a massive cold air mass that broke away from the polar vortex. Think of it like a piece of the Arctic just decided to take a vacation south. This air mass is so cold that when it hits moisture, we are not just talking about regular snow. We are talking about snow that falls at rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour in some locations. Simultaneously, there is a river of moisture in the sky, what meteorologists call an atmospheric river, pulling tropical moisture all the way from near Hawaii. Yes, you heard that right. Hawaiian moisture is about to collide with Arctic air over the American heartland. When warm, moisture-laden air meets extremely cold air, you get what is called explosive cyclogenesis. The storm literally explodes in intensity. Now here is a number that will make you sit up. The computer models are showing potential snow accumulation rates in some areas that could reach 6 inches in a single hour. 6 inches in 1 hour. Most people have never seen snow fall that fast in their entire lives. Roads become impassable in minutes, not hours. Visibility drops to near zero. This is not the kind of snow where you can just drive slowly and carefully. This is the kind where even experienced winter drivers pull over and wait. Let me break down the timeline, because timing is everything with this storm. And remember, drop your location in the comments because the timing varies dramatically depending on where you are. For those of you in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California, you are already starting to feel the leading edge. By 6 p.m. tonight, heavy precipitation begins. Now here is the twist most people are not talking about. In the mountains, yes, you are going to see massive snowfall, probably 30 to 40 inches in the highest elevations. But in the valleys, you might start with rain. And that is actually more dangerous than snow in some ways. Why? Because that rain is going to freeze on contact with roads and power lines once the cold air sweeps in behind it. We are talking about ice accumulations of 1/4 to 1/2 inch in some valleys. That does not sound like much until you realize that just 1/4 inch of ice can snap power lines and tree branches like toothpicks. Moving east, let us talk about the Rockies and the High Plains. If you are in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, or the Dakotas, Tuesday morning is when things get serious. The snow begins early, and by Tuesday afternoon, you are in the heart of it. Some areas along the Front Range could see thunder snow. Yes, thunder and lightning during a snowstorm. It is rare, it is spectacular, and it is a sign of just how much energy this storm system is packing. When you hear thunder during snow, that usually means the snow is falling extremely heavily. Here is another number for you. Wind gusts in the high plains could reach 60 to 70 miles per hour at times. Combine that with heavy snowfall, and you have got whiteout conditions. We are talking about blizzard conditions where you cannot see your hand in front of your face. Interstate highways will close. Rural roads will become death traps. If you live in these areas and you have not already stocked up on essentials, you need to do that today, not tomorrow. Today. Now let us talk about the Midwest and the Great Lakes, because this is where the storm takes an interesting turn. By Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, the system begins to interact with moisture from the Great Lakes. This is called lake effect enhancement, and it is like throwing gasoline on a fire. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo need to pay very close attention. The models are showing a potential for 20 to 30 inches of snow in some areas within a 36-hour period. But here is the critical detail. This is not going to be light, fluffy snow. Because of the slightly warmer lake water adding moisture, this will be heavy, wet snow, the kind that weighs down power lines, the kind that collapses roofs if it accumulates too much. If you have a flat roof or an old structure, you need to have a plan for snow removal. 1 cubic foot of this wet snow can weigh 15 to 20 pounds. Get 2 feet of that on your roof, and you are looking at serious structural stress. For those of you in the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic states, your window is Wednesday into Thursday. And here is where Mother Nature throws us another curveball. There is going to be a battle zone between cold air and slightly warmer air right along the I-70 and I-80 corridors. What does that mean for you? It means the difference between getting all snow, all ice, or a messy mix could come down to just 20 or 30 miles north or south of where you live. This is why I need you to comment your specific city, because I can give you much more precise guidance when I know exactly where you are. The difference between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia could be the difference between 12 inches of snow and a half inch of ice, followed by 6 inches of snow. Both are dangerous, but they require completely different preparation strategies. And now, as promised, here is that smartphone tip at the 3-minute 20-second mark. Open your weather app settings right now. Look for an option called Location-Based Alerts or Wireless Emergency Alerts. Make sure it is turned on and set to your precise location, not just your general area. Then, and this is the key, add at least 3 additional locations. Add your workplace, add where your kids or grandkids live, add where your elderly parents live. This way, you get specific alerts for all the places you care about, not just where your phone thinks you are at any given moment. This one simple step gives you a massive advantage in storm preparation. Let us talk about what you need to do today right now to prepare. First, and this is non-negotiable, check your emergency supplies. You need at least 72 hours worth of food that does not require cooking. Why? Because power outages are almost guaranteed in many areas with this storm. The combination of ice accumulation on power lines, heavy wet snow weighing down trees, and high winds is the perfect recipe for widespread outages. Water is next. Fill up your bathtubs, fill extra containers, because if the power goes out for an extended period, that affects water pumping stations in many communities. You want at least 1 gallon per person per day for 3 days minimum. Medications are critical. If you or anyone in your household takes daily medications, make sure you have at least a week's supply on hand. Do not assume you will be able to get to the pharmacy in 2 or 3 days. With this storm, that might not be possible. Now let us talk about heating, because this is where people get into serious trouble. If the power goes out, what is your backup plan? If you have a fireplace, make sure you have wood stocked and ready. If you have a generator, test it right now, not when the power goes out. Make sure you have fuel for it, and please, this is crucial, never run a generator indoors or in an attached garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every single winter storm season because someone thought they were being careful, but were not careful enough. Here is another preparation tip that most people miss. Charge every single device you own right now. Phones, tablets, laptops, portable battery packs, everything. If the power goes out, these become your lifelines to the outside world. They are how you get weather updates, how you communicate with family, how you call for help if needed. Your car is another critical consideration. Fill up your gas tank today, not tomorrow. In a major winter storm, gas stations lose power too. Even if they have gas, they cannot pump it without electricity. Keep your tank at least 3/4 full at all times during this event. If you have to evacuate or if there is an emergency, you do not want to be searching for an open gas station in a blizzard. Let me give you some numbers on what this storm is going to cost in terms of impact. Early estimates suggest that this weather system will affect daily life for over 120 million Americans. School closures are expected to impact more than 30 million students across multiple states. Thousands of flights have already been preemptively canceled. If you have travel plans in the next 72 to 96 hours, you need to have a backup plan. The economic impact is projected to be in the billions of dollars. Lost productivity, power restoration costs, accident claims, the numbers add up fast. But more importantly than dollars, we need to talk about safety. Historically, winter storms of this magnitude result in hundreds of weather-related traffic accidents, dozens of structure failures, and sadly, cold-related injuries and fatalities. But here is the good news, and I want to emphasize this. With proper preparation and by following official guidance, you can stay safe and comfortable through this entire event. This is not a time for panic. This is a time for practical preparation. Let me share something fascinating about this storm that shows just how unusual it is. Meteorologists compare storms using something called the Palmer scale for winter storm intensity. It goes from 1 to 5, with 5 being the most extreme. This storm is tracking as a Category 4, possibly a 5 in some regions. We have not seen a winter storm of this intensity cover this large an area since the blizzard of 1996, and even that storm had a smaller overall footprint. The jet stream pattern that is causing this is what scientists call an omega block. If you look at it on a weather map, the jet stream literally makes the shape of the Greek letter omega. This pattern locks weather systems in place and amplifies their intensity. It is relatively rare, and when it happens, it usually means records are going to be broken. Speaking of records, let us talk about what specific records are at risk. In the Rockies, some locations could see their highest 24-hour snowfall totals ever recorded for the month of January. In the Plains states, the combination of wind speed and snow rate could produce some of the most intense blizzard conditions measured in the last 30 years. Great Lakes regions might see single-storm snowfall totals that rank in the top 5 all-time events. But here is something that is not getting enough attention in other weather coverage. The cold air behind this storm is going to be just as significant as the snow itself. Once the snow ends, temperatures are going to crash. We are talking about wind chills dropping to 20 below zero, 30 below zero, even 40 below zero in some northern locations. At those temperatures, exposed skin can develop frostbite in less than 10 minutes. Hypothermia becomes a serious risk even with relatively short exposure. This is why your home heating situation is so critical. Even if you do not lose power, you want to minimize heat loss. Close off rooms you are not using. Put rolled towels at the base of exterior doors. Close your curtains at night for extra insulation. If you have ceiling fans, run them in reverse on low speed to push warm air down from the ceiling. Let me address something important for those of you who have elderly neighbors or relatives living alone. Check on them. Make sure they have supplies. Make sure they have a way to heat their home if the power goes out. Make sure someone is checking on them regularly. Elderly individuals are at higher risk during winter weather events, not just from the cold itself, but from falls on ice, from isolation if roads are impassable, from running out of medications or food. Now let us talk about what happens after the storm passes, because the danger does not end when the snow stops falling. Roof collapse from snow load becomes a real concern 36 to 48 hours after the storm. This is especially true for flat roofs or older structures. If you hear cracking sounds from your ceiling or roof, take it seriously. Get out and call for help. Carbon monoxide poisoning risk actually increases in the days after a storm. Why? Because people are running generators longer, because heating systems are working overtime, because exhaust vents get blocked by snow. Make sure your carbon monoxide detectors have fresh batteries. If you do not have one, they cost less than $30 and could save your life. Ice dams on roofs are another post-storm hazard. When snow on your roof melts and refreezes at the edge, it creates a dam that can force water back up under your shingles and into your house. If you see icicles hanging from your gutters, that is a sign you might have ice dam formation starting. There are products you can use and techniques to prevent this, but it is easier to prevent than to fix after water damage has occurred. Let us talk about pets and livestock for a moment. If you have outdoor animals, they need shelter from the wind, they need access to unfrozen water, and they need extra food because they burn more calories staying warm. Bring pets inside if at all possible. If you have livestock, make sure they have adequate shelter and that you have enough feed to last through the storm without having to make dangerous trips to barn or pasture. Here is a number that surprises most people. Your body needs about 20 to 30% more calories when you are cold. If you lose power and your house gets cold, you will actually get hungry more often. Make sure your emergency food supplies include some higher calorie options. Peanut butter, nuts, granola bars, things that give you energy and help your body maintain temperature. Now I want to talk about mental preparation because that is just as important as physical preparation. Major winter storms can be isolating. You might be stuck at home for 2, 3, even 4 days. Have activities planned. Books, puzzles, board games, crafts, whatever keeps you and your family occupied. Boredom and cabin fever are real things, and they can make a stressful situation more stressful. Stay connected with the outside world, but do not obsess over weather coverage. Check for updates 3 or 4 times a day, not every 10 minutes. Constant weather watching increases anxiety without giving you useful new information most of the time. Here is something crucial about snow removal that could save you from a heart attack, literally. Snow shoveling is one of the leading causes of heart attacks during winter storms. The combination of cold air, which constricts blood vessels, and the extreme physical exertion of moving heavy snow is dangerous, especially for people over 50. If you have to shovel, take frequent breaks, dress in layers, and stop immediately if you feel any chest discomfort, unusual shortness of breath, or pain radiating to your arms or jaw. Better yet, if you have a snowblower, use it. If you do not, and this much snow is forecast, it might be worth seeing if you can borrow or rent one. When you are talking about potentially 20 to 30 inches of heavy snow, a shovel is not the right tool for the job. Let me give you the 5-minute payoff I promised at the beginning. Here is the information that ties everything together and helps you make the smart decisions for your specific situation. This storm has 3 distinct phases, and understanding them helps you time your preparations and actions perfectly. Phase 1 is the arrival phase. This is when precipitation begins, temperatures start to drop, and conditions deteriorate. This phase lasts 6 to 12 hours typically. Your goal during Phase 1 is to be home, be prepared, and stay off the roads. If you absolutely must travel during Phase 1, do it early, before conditions worsen significantly. Phase 2 is the peak intensity phase. This is when snowfall rates are highest, winds are strongest, and visibility is worst. This phase typically lasts 12 to 18 hours. During Phase 2, your only goal is to stay safe and warm inside. Do not go outside except for absolute emergencies. Even a short walk to your car can become disorienting in whiteout conditions. Phase 3 is the gradual ending and transition to extreme cold. Snow tapers off, winds decrease, but temperatures plummet. This phase lasts 24 to 48 hours. Phase 3 is when you start thinking about snow removal, checking on neighbors, and assessing any damage. But you still need to be cautious of the extreme cold. Right now, based on current forecasts, here is when each region should expect each phase. Pacific Northwest and Northern California, you are entering Phase 1 now. Phase 2 hits tonight into tomorrow morning. Phase 3 begins tomorrow afternoon. Rockies and High Plains, Phase 1 begins tomorrow morning. Phase 2 is tomorrow afternoon into Tuesday night. Phase 3 starts Wednesday. Midwest and Great Lakes, Phase 1 Tuesday evening. Phase 2 Wednesday. Phase 3 Wednesday night into Thursday. Mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley, Phase 1 Wednesday. Phase 2 Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Phase 3 Thursday afternoon. Again, and I cannot stress this enough, comment your city and state below. These are general regional forecasts. Your specific location might be different by several hours, and those hours matter when you are trying to time your final preparations or know when it is safe to venture back out. Here is what you need to do in the next 6 hours, regardless of when the storm hits your area. Finalize your emergency supplies, charge all devices, fill your car with gas, secure any outdoor items that could blow around in high winds, bring in patio furniture, secure trash cans, take down any loose decorations. Wind gusts of 50 to 70 miles per hour will turn unsecured items into dangerous projectiles. Check your home heating system. Change your furnace filter if it has been a while. A clean filter helps your system run more efficiently. If you have a heat pump, understand that it loses efficiency in extreme cold. You may need a backup heat source. Stock up on any prescription medications you need. Get extra pet food if needed. Make sure you have flashlights with fresh batteries in multiple rooms. Candles are okay for light, but never leave them unattended, and keep them away from anything flammable. Here is something most people forget. Cash. ATMs do not work without power, and if internet is down, credit card systems do not work either. Have some cash on hand, just in case. Now let me talk about something that could affect you even if you do not get heavy snow. The cold air behind this system is going to affect areas far south of where the snow falls. If you are in the southern states, you might not see snow, but you could see temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below normal. That means potential for frozen pipes, which is not something southern homes are always built to handle well. If you are in the south and temperatures are going to drop below freezing, especially if they are going to stay below freezing for more than 24 hours, you need to protect your pipes. Open cabinet doors under sinks to let warm air circulate around pipes. Let faucets drip slightly. Disconnect and drain outdoor hoses. Know where your main water shutoff valve is, just in case. Here's a fascinating piece of meteorology that explains why this storm is so severe. The temperature difference between the cold air mass and the warm, moist air is greater than 40 degrees in some locations. That temperature gradient is what drives storm intensity. The bigger the temperature difference, the more powerful the storm system. It is like the atmosphere is trying to equalize the temperature, and in doing so, it creates these massive weather events. Climate scientists have noted that while this is a natural weather pattern, the intensity is being influenced by broader climate changes. The polar vortex is less stable than it used to be, which means when pieces of it break off and head south, they can be more intense. At the same time, the atmosphere is holding more moisture due to overall warming, which means when you get the right conditions for snow, you can get more snow than you would have gotten from a similar pattern 30 or 40 years ago. But regardless of the cause, we have to deal with the reality, and the reality is that this is a significant, potentially historic winter storm that requires your attention and preparation. Let me give you one more critical safety tip. If you lose power, resist the temptation to use your stove or oven to heat your home. It is incredibly dangerous. Stoves produce carbon monoxide and other gases that are vented to the outside when used properly for cooking. Using them for extended heating can lead to fatal carbon monoxide buildup. Same goes for propane heaters not designed for indoor use. If you absolutely must use alternative heat, a fireplace or a proper indoor safe heater is your only safe option. And even then, you need ventilation and you need a working carbon monoxide detector. Here is something to think about for after the storm: photos and documentation. If you experience any property damage, document it thoroughly with photos and video before you make repairs. Contact your insurance company promptly. Many policies have time limits on when you must report damage. Also, be wary of storm chaser contractors who show up in the days after major weather events. Some are legitimate, many are not. Never pay in full up front. Get multiple estimates. Check references and licensing. Do not feel pressured to sign immediately. Now, let us talk about one more aspect that does not get enough attention: community. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors or those who live alone. Share resources if someone needs something you have extra of. In major weather events, communities that look out for each other fare much better than those where everyone just focuses on their own situation. Consider creating a neighborhood text chain or group chat if one does not already exist. It is a great way to share information, check on each other, and coordinate help if someone needs it. Here is my final important message as we wrap this up. This storm is serious, yes. It will be disruptive, yes. But with proper preparation and by staying informed, you will get through it just fine. The vast majority of people who prepare adequately have nothing more than a few inconvenient days at home. Stay informed through official channels. Your local National Weather Service office, your local emergency management agency, trusted local news sources. These are your best sources for specific, actionable information for your area. Avoid the temptation to go out and see how bad it is during the height of the storm. Every winter, people get stranded or hurt because they went out when they should have stayed in. It is not worth it. The snow will still be there after the storm passes, and you can see it safely then. If you found this information helpful, make sure to share it with friends and family who might be in the path of this storm. Information saves lives, and the more people who are properly prepared, the better we all are. And remember, drop your city and state in the comments. I am monitoring them and will provide more specific guidance for your area as the forecast updates come in. The meteorological community is tracking this storm closely, and new information is coming in every few hours. Your specific location helps me give you the most accurate, helpful information possible. Stay safe, stay warm, and stay prepared. This is a significant winter storm, but you have got this. By taking the steps we have talked about today, you are putting yourself and your family in the best possible position to weather this storm comfortably and safely. Now get to your preparations, comment your location below so I can help you with specific timing, and I will see you with updates